This is the first video for biology class 9. We are discussing chapter cell, the fundamental unit of life. And so students, will be discussing about the nucleus. We already know that the nucleus is the most prominent and the most important organelle present in a cell. So in an eukaryotic cell, it is a double membrane organelle which contains the genetic material. So this is the basic structure of a nucleus. You can see that the different parts that are present in an eukaryotic nucleus are pore, nuclear envelope, nucleolus, nucleoplasm, genetic material, and also endoplasmic reticulum. Now let us talk about nucleus in detail. So we'll be beginning with the discovery of the nucleus. So let's start talking about the discovery of the nucleus. So the scientist Robert Brown is credited with the discovery and also the describing the structure of the nucleus. He observed the nucleus cells in orchid cells. Now next, we'll be talking about the number of nucleus that is present in a cell. The number of the nucleus that is present in a cell varies from one cell to another. So we can divide we can divide cells into different types based on the number of nucleus present in them. If a cell has only one single nucleus, it is known to be uninucleate. If it has two nuclei, it is known as binucleate, and if it has more than two nuclei, it means it is a multinucleated cells. Now let us see some examples of uninucleate, binucleate and multinucleate cells. So first talking about uninucleate cells. So cells with just one nucleus are known as uninucleate cells. Smooth muscle cells contain just one nucleus per cell, so these are uninucleate cells. Talking about binucleate cells, so these are those cells which contain two nuclei. So paramecium is the best example of a binucleate cells. Next we'll be talking about multinucleate cells. So these cells have more than two nucleus. Best example is of skeletal muscle cells, and then next we have opalina. So you can see in the diagram that these skeletal cells and opalina, they have more than more than two nucleus in a cell. Moving on students, we will now see the types of multinucleate cells. The multinucleate cells can also be divided into two categories based on whether they are plant cells or animal cells. So multinucleate plant cells or protists are known as cenocytic. You can see it is cenocytic, whereas multinucleate animal cells are known as syncytial. Okay, but there is no such hard and fast rules that only multinucleated plant cells will only be known as syncytial cells or cenocytic cells, but still we just divide them into these two. Okay. So moving on to the position of the nucleus. Now it is not necessary that the position of the nucleus is fixed in every cell type, but the position of the nucleus may be different in different types of cells. So first of all, talking about centric. Centric means that the nucleus is present in the center of the cells. So we all know that in animal cells, the nucleus is completely at the center of the cell. Next is eccentric. It means the nucleus is little away from the center. So the best example of eccentric nucleus is in plant cells and in adipocytes. Next we have peripheral, in which the nucleus is almost close to the plasma membrane, that is, it is towards the plasma membrane. Next we have basal, in which the nucleus is at the base, and the best example of basal nucleus is in columnar cells, in which the nucleus is completely at the base of the cells. So students, next we'll be talking about the shapes of the nucleus. The most accepted shape of the nucleus is circular, but there are some different shapes of the nucleus also, that is oval, bilobed, trilobed, multilobed and horseshoe shaped nucleus. So circular nucleus is basically observed in animal cells and plant cells. Rest, you can just, if you just go through different blood cells, you will find all these different shapes of the nucleus. Okay, moving on. So next we'll be talking about the basic structure of the nucleus. So this is the basic structure of the nucleus, talking from the external side first of all. So outside we have nuclear membrane. So we'll talk about each of the structure one by one in detail. First of all, we have nuclear membrane. So let me just show you which one is the nuclear membrane. So just a minute, students. So this is the nuclear membrane. So we know that nuclear membrane consists of two layers, an outer layer and an inner layer. We'll be discussing about that later on. Next, nuclear pores, which are small holes, tiny holes that are present on the nuclear membrane. Next, we have nucleolus, which is the dense structure that is present inside the nucleus. You can see that there is a yellow dense structure that is present inside the nucleus. And the last one you will be seeing nucleoplasm, which is the dense fluid present in the nucleus. Moving on. Apart from these students, one more very important thing that is present in the nucleus is the genetic material. We all know that nucleus contains genetic material. So this genetic material is also present in the nucleoplasm. Now let us talk about nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is also known as nuclear envelope or karyotheca. Now this nuclear membrane is a double layered structure. A space is present between the outer and the inner nuclear membrane, which is known as perinuclear space. Outer membrane is rough in appearance due to the presence of ribosomes attached to it, and the nuclear membrane also evaginates, leading to the formation of another organelle, endoplasmic reticulum, which are the production units of the cells. Okay, so nuclear membrane also consists of pores, which are known as nuclear pores. So here you can see outer membrane and inner membrane. So here we have the diagram of the nuclear membrane or karyotheca or nuclear envelope. Okay, so you can see this is the outer nuclear membrane. Then we have another membrane, that is inner nuclear membrane. Okay, then between these two you can see there is a small space. There exists a small space, and this space is known as perinuclear space. These three together, that is the outer membrane, the perinuclear space and the inner membrane, these three together compose the nuclear envelope or the karyotheca. Okay, then you can see that the outer membrane is rough in appearance. I suppose you can clearly see that the outer membrane is rough in appearance. Why is it so? Because of the presence of ribosomes attached to the surface of the outer membrane. So these ribosomes make the outer membrane rough. Apart from this, the outer membrane also has endoplasmic reticulum attached to it, which is not shown in this figure. Okay, it is not shown in this figure, but also endoplasmic reticulum starts by the evagination of the nuclear membrane only. Apart from this, the nuclear membrane also contains small pores, you can see here, which is known as nuclear pore. So this is all about the nuclear membrane. So let's move on. So students, we have seen that nuclear membrane contains nuclear pores. So let us talk about the nuclear pores now. So these are small pores which help in the transport of substances from the nucleus. What is the shape of these nuclear pores? They are normally octagonal in shape, and their number may vary from 1000 to 10,000 per cell. Now, next we'll be talking about nucleoplasm. What is nucleoplasm? It is the dense liquid that is present in the cytoplasm. What does it contain now? It contains the enzymes. Mainly it is rich in enzymes which are useful for replication of DNA, and also some divalent ions which activate the enzymes. We know that the enzymes, they normally exist in inactive form, and they need some ions which may activate these enzymes. Okay, so the divalent ions that are present in the nucleoplasm help in the activation of the enzymes which are necessary for the DNA replication. Also, nucleoplasm contains mRNA, tRNA, and so it contains the different forms of RNA. Okay. Okay, students, last but not the least, nucleolus is also present, which is a very dense body present in the nucleus. What is the role of these nucleolus? I suppose you know that it helps in the production of ribosomes, or nucleolus are the ribosomal factories of the cells. Also, it helps in the alteration of transfer RNA and sensing cellular stress. Nucleolus is composed of RNA and proteins. What makes up the nucleolus? It is composed of RNA and proteins which form around specific chromosomal regions. Okay, so let us now see, last but not the least, the functions of the nucleus. So here, these are the most important functions of the nucleus. It contains the cell's hereditary information and controls the cell's growth and reproduction. Next, the nucleus has been clearly explained as a membrane-bound structure that comprises the genetic material of a cell. It's not just a storage compartment for DNA, but also happens to be the home of some important cellular process. So it is not only that DNA is stored here, but many different important processes are going on in the nucleus of the cell. First and foremost, it is possible to duplicate one's DNA in the nucleus. This process has been named DNA replication and produces an identical copy of the DNA. So DNA replication also takes place where? In the nucleus itself. Okay, and in this process, identical copy of the DNA is produced during this process. Now, producing two identical copies of the body or host is the first step in cell division, where every new cell will get its own set of instructions. So this is the first step, that is the copying of the DNA. Forming of an identical copy is the first step in the process of cell division. Secondly, the nucleus is the site of transcription, and transcription creates different types of RNA from DNA. Transcription would be a lot like creating copies of individual pages of the human body's instructions, which may be moved out and read by the rest of the cell. So these are the different functions of the DNA students. Sorry, different functions of the nucleus students. So this is all for nucleus. So in the next video, we'll be studying about chloroplast. So thank you so much, students. This is all for this video. Thank you again.